What's going on, YouTube? It's Thomas DeLauer, and I gotta say, I think that they jacked up my hair yesterday when I got a haircut. This is not what I had in mind, but the difference between a good haircut and a bad haircut is 2 weeks. So anyway, guys, as you join in, I'm going to shout you out. So I just want to make sure if you're tuning in to this live broadcast, to this live feed, that you comment where you're watching from so that when I get into the science, I know who I'm talking about, who I'm talking to. We've got India in the house. Make sure you comment where you're watching from. That really helps me. What's going on, Matt in Poland? I love my international audience here. We've got New York in the house. I'm going to be in New York tomorrow. We've got Sanket in the house. We've got Phil in Phoenix. We've got Chicago, Adam. We've got State College, Pennsylvania. We've got Ginny in Singapore, Sora in Atlanta. We've got Maxed Out. We've got Berlin in the house, New York City, Alabama, Elliot in Essex, UK, Edmonton, Alberta, Matt in Pittsburgh, Virginia Beach, Shane. Wow, we've got a lot of people. You guys are great. Make sure you hit that like button if you're just joining in. And also, if you can, please hit that share button because I'm going to drop some science bombs on you that you're going to really like. You're going to like what I'm talking about today. I think I'm going to break down the digestion of fats in a way that a lot of people haven't heard before, and in a way that just starts to make a lot more sense. A lot of times we don't fully get the full story on what happens with fats and what they really do inside our body when it comes down to the actual emulsification and breaking down. So I want to make sure we have enough people on this to justify getting into the science. So give me just a few minutes here to kind of ramp up and wait for a few more people to join in. So I'm relying on you guys to hit that like button because that's going to drive this up so people see it, but also would love it if you guys can hit that share button, invite some people over to this. Make sure that you comment where you're watching from. Chuck in Atlanta. We've got Yusuf in Romania. We've got Monique in Atlanta. Good to see you, Monique. We've got John. Here we go. We've got Shavam. Okay, people like the haircut. Okay, see, I thought it was a mistake. Funny story before I get started as I'm waiting for more people. Tomorrow I fly to New York. I'm meeting with Fox and ABC, doing some cool stuff. Actually get to meet Dr. Oz, which is going to be exciting. Okay, but then I am going to Bermuda on Friday. And I'm going to Bermuda because I'm shooting some video content for a couple of commercials, doing some stuff. And then and what I figured, okay, I needed to trim up the hair a little bit. So I went to my normal barber. My normal barber was out. So I end up getting this new guy. He's not new, he's been there for a while. And I tell him, look, only take a tiny bit off. I'm just polishing up before this shoot. I've got to be, on Fox tomorrow or on Wednesday. And I'm just going, please just only take a little bit off. Make sure you fade it. And I'm not a prima donna. I really don't usually care. But then, oh my gosh, he just goes high and tight up there. And I'm just like, great. Here we go. All right, I guess it's the new Thomas for a little bit. So anyway, I'm just gonna live with it. That's kind of how I roll. No sense in being negative about it. But let's talk about science, guys. Let's get going. We've got Greece in the house. Thank you for the kind words. Let's talk about fats, all right, and ketosis. Here we end up going. The second that you ingest some fats, you start the emulsification process in your mouth, okay? So you've got something called lipase, and this lipase breaks down the fats starting in your mouth. Then, as soon as you get into the stomach, you have a different form of lipase, okay? Something called gastric lipase that kicks in. And this gastric lipase kicks in, and what that ends up doing is it ends up breaking down about 10% of the fats that you consume, okay? You guys, bear with me one second. I have to get a sip of water because I am parched, okay? Just give me 1 second here. 1 second. All this dieting for this shoot makes me super thirsty. Okay, so you end up breaking down about 10% when it's in the stomach. Well, what's interesting is that we have to remember that fats never fully break down in water. They're not water soluble. They don't dissolve, okay? Fats emulsify, which mean that you end up getting these further driplets of fat, okay? These droplets of fat, right? They never fully break down. Think of it like what oil looks like in water. And then take those little globs of oil you see in water and break them down even further. Okay, break them down so that there's smaller droplets and smaller droplets and smaller droplets. That's what emulsification is. Okay, so we're dealing just with these droplets that are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, never fully dissolving in general. So then what we have to look at is how does the body utilize this? And that's where it gets fascinating and it transfers into the actual small intestine. This is where the fun part happens, okay? So the emulsification of fats, as soon as it hits the small intestine, then you have a different enzyme Okay, you have something called pancreatic lipase. And guys, if you're just joining in, please make sure you hit that like button. It really helps me out a lot. It drives the video engagement up. It's YouTube's ranking. So if you're just watching this, please just poke that like button for me. It really helps me out a ton. This pancreatic lipase breaks it down even further. So now you've got gastric lipase that broke it down about 10%. This pancreatic lipase breaks it down even more. Now remember, when you consume a fat, it's in the form of 3 fatty acids that are bound to a glycerol molecule. What does that mean? It means it's a big form of fat that's actually kind of conjugated and kind of together with this big glob of glycerin, okay? Or glycerol, excuse me. And then what has to happen is the body has to cleave off each individual piece of fat off of that glycerol. It's not like carbs where your body can just break down starch really quick. It's a process. So what happens when it's in your stomach, it breaks off 2 of those fat molecules, okay, the fatty acids from the glycerol molecule. So then you're left with 3 that are separate, 2 still attached, 1 outside of its own spectrum. Then you go into the small intestine. Pancreatic lipase kicks in and it breaks it down even more. So now you've broken it down to 3 fatty acids outside of their glycerol molecule. Glycerol molecule is now by itself. 3 free fatty acids. Problem is, these fatty acids are still not able to absorb into the cell. They don't function properly, okay? So they don't end up working out the way that it's supposed to. They don't absorb into the cell like they're supposed to. So what we end up needing is we need some more emulsification, and we need something to make it more permeable so it can absorb into the cell. That means our gallbladder kicks in. You all know about the gallbladder. It's a pretty awesome organ. And if you guys haven't already, please make sure you hit that share button, make sure you hit that like button and everything. Yeah, I know. You can say, you can tell the chat distracts me. It's driving me crazy. In fact, I need to go in the other room. It's like, okay, why did I walk into my office to do this for a second? But anyway, what ends up happening is it can't go into the cell. So your gallbladder creates these things called bile salts. These bile salts that come from the bile break down the fatty acid even more into something called a micelle. Okay, and this micelle is a fascinating thing. What this micelle does is it combines proteins, it combines some cholesterols, and it combines the fatty acids that are in your gut into a very interesting form that is received by the cell, okay? We have these cells in our small intestine that are called enterocytes. And these enterocytes they're cells in our intestine that are bioidentical to micelles. So that means when micelles are coming through the intestinal tract, they're able to absorb and connect with these intestinal cells. When that happens, that's how it absorbs through our intestinal tract. People think that we just have gaps in our intestinal tract and that's how food gets in. No, we have receptor cells that can absorb the food from the cell and then transfer it into the bloodstream or into the lymph. So anyway, what's kind of interesting is the fact that fats don't go right into the bloodstream. Are you ready for some crazy science? This is what I found super interesting. Let me give you an analogy first. Have you ever been on a freeway, okay, and you're in the express lane and things are still not moving? You're still stuck in traffic, it still sucks. And then all of a sudden the light rail train just blows by. And for a second you're thinking, why am I not on the light rail train? Why am I not on this express train that's just blown the doors off of all this traffic? Well, I want you to think of that express train as the lymphatic system. And I want you to think of your bloodstream as a good old-fashioned LA freeway. It's gonna get you there, but you're sharing it with a lot of cells, a lot of red blood cells, a lot of leukotriene, a lot of leukocytes, a lot of lymphocytes, all of these things that are taking up space. So what ends up happening is the fat that absorbs into the cell actually has to cross into the lymph, not into the blood. This is what's fascinating. Because it goes into the lymph, this fat has its own expedited freeway to wherever it needs to go. It hops on the light rail train. It doesn't go into the bloodstream. So fat goes in the mouth, into the intestinal tract, into the cell, and then into the lymph fluid. That's what's amazing. I don't know if you guys see or are as intrigued as I am with that, but the fact that fat goes for a ride in the lymph system is fascinating. Then when it gets to where it's going, the body's amazing and can say, now you get into the bloodstream, now you work. If this isn't proof that our bodies are designed to be running on fats, whether you're a vegan, vegetarian, a meat eater, carnivore, whatever, it doesn't matter. Fats are critical. And that's why I'm such a big proponent of ketosis or any kind of style like that, because fats have that paved way to really work, okay? They get to where they're going. They ride the express rail, light rail train. They don't sit in traffic. But what's even more fascinating is once it's in the lymph system, it's actually really fascinating. It's in the lymph system and it combines back into a triglyceride again. So it ends up not being in those free fatty acid forms. It goes back into a triglyceride, travels around where it needs to go. Then when it's into the bloodstream, it's utilized by whatever organ needs it. In short, what's fascinating about this is that fats do not have to go through the same process that regular foods do, regular carbs, regular proteins. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. Now, how does it apply when you're in ketosis? You may be wondering, like, I'm doing a lot of videos on ketosis lately, and ketosis is something that I've followed for a long time. The thing is it's just been very interesting how just recently it's become very popular, which makes me intrigued and makes me want to do more videos on it because people are very interested in it, and it's an interesting topic. So, why, girl, how do we get these fats on the speed train? The trick is exactly what I'm saying. Going into a low carb, high fat approach where your body is predominantly utilizing fats as a source of fuel. It ends up working a lot better. If your body preferentially wants to run on fats, then everything's going to get on the speed train. But there's one more cool thing. How many of you guys have ever foam rolled before? Okay, where you take the little foam roller and you roll out your back, you roll out your legs, you do all these things. Okay? If you foam rolled before, go ahead and type foam rolling. I want to make sure that a lot of people here know what foam rolling is. So go ahead and comment foam rolling. That way I just know who I'm talking to. But essentially, it's where you're rolling out your muscles and you're rolling on the ground, doing that whole thing. Maybe you do it before you work out. Maybe you do it after, everything like that. Foam rolling is extremely undervalued. The reason I say this is because foam rolling isn't just about loosening up muscles. Foam rolling isn't just about warming up. Foam rolling stimulates the flow of your lymphatic system. Okay, so it gets lymph flowing. It gets that lymph fluid flowing. Now let's start doing the math here for a second. If we are mobilizing lymph, okay, we're mobilizing the lymph fluid, we're mobilizing and encouraging the lymphatic system to pump and work. Well, if fat is in the lymph and we're absorbing more fat and it's going through the lymph system and then we're mobilizing the lymph, we're mobilizing fat. Did you ever think that foam rolling might be fat burning? It may not be fat burning, it may not trigger your metabolism to burn more fat, but it is going to expedite the mobilization of it. So then in conjunction with, of course, a proper diet, proper exercise, proper timing, everything, watching my videos and learning, educating, foam rolling might actually help. So when you understand the absorption of fats, it's pretty fascinating. Jenny, you say take a breath. I don't want to take a breath. I like talking about this stuff. You can tell I'm passionate about it. So anyway, Vivian, you say mind blown. And I think there's a lot of people that are having their minds totally blown right now. It's fascinating. And if you guys got something out of that little tidbit, if you can, just hit that little thumbs up button. It helps me out a lot. Don't know if you guys realize how YouTube kind of works, but YouTube essentially looks at engagement just like Facebook does. So if I have a lot of comments, if I'm engaging with you, I'm answering questions, I'm talking to you like you, Jesse, talking about you foam rolling right now, but also asking you to like it, it's going to help out a lot in getting these videos up to the top. And the more videos that get viewed, the more videos that I'll create. You notice that as my following is growing on YouTube quite fast, I'm producing more videos, I'm doing more lives, I'm more motivated to get out here and do this. And I want to help you guys. So everyone that you can, just hit that thumbs up button. Essentially, for those of you that just joined in, please make sure you comment where you're watching from, because that's another way that I like to get to know all of you guys. I see a lot of people that are coming back on here, and that's awesome. That's really, really good to know that people are returning to the Q&A sessions here. So let's go ahead and turn it on to Q&A for a little bit. I have to be on a phone call here in about 10 minutes. Let me turn off this notification. Thank goodness for notifications. Quick fun fact, for those of you that have been following my live broadcast recently, I'm prepping for, I've got a video shoot in Bermuda this week. So tomorrow I fly to New York. I might do a live broadcast from the airport on some healthy airport food. I'm going to try to. I can't promise. Go to JFK, get off in New York. And then Thursday, I'm meeting with Fox News and get to hopefully meet Dr. Oz and drum up some business and some stuff there, which is cool. And then Friday, fly to Bermuda, doing a couple of video shoots, a couple photo shoots for a few things, a short trip in Bermuda. So I had to go out of ketosis. And those of you that are following me know this story. I had to go to ketosis and I had to start consuming carbs again. I cannot tell you how much I cannot wait to get back into ketosis. I had to go into these carbs simply because I needed to actually fill up and volumize the muscles, but man, it is not fun. I miss ketosis. I miss feeling the way that I was feeling before. So anyway, someone asked about intermittent fasting, how to break intermittent fasting. So I'm a big fan. When you're in ketosis and you're intermittent fasting, just to answer some questions, one of the main things you want to pay attention to is not overstimulating the insulin response. Don't go super crazy on high protein right when you break your fast. It's a mistake that a lot of people make. Remember, you're sensitive. Your insulin levels are still going to spike. So you want to have a moderate amount of protein, moderate amount of carbs. I usually recommend maybe a rice cake, even if you're in ketosis, and a little bit of chicken, a little bit of something like that. Okay, maybe a protein shake, that'll spike your insulin too. Then 30 minutes later, then consume your high fats, okay? That's really important. Don't have your fats and protein with your first meal. Try to have a little bit of protein, a little bit of carb. Like one rice cake, we're talking 10 grams of carbs, breaks your fast, gets your insulin levels up, breaks everything, and then 30, 40 minutes later, then you have your fats. Helps a lot. Someone says they're starting keto and they're hungry all the time. How can they fix that? Well, when you first start ketosis, you are extremely, extremely dehydrated. And that can make you very, very hungry. My recommendation is to consume a lot of salt, more than you normally would. Then when you're consuming a lot of salt like that, it's easier to drink a lot of water. Then, of course, when you're drinking a lot of water, you're a lot more full. It makes life quite a bit easier. So I hope that helps and clears that up. Guys, if you're just joining in, please make sure you hit that like button. Just so you know, I usually do these broadcasts on Facebook. I want to gain muscle. Will I have time to come up? Will I have to come off ketosis? No. I'll answer that question in 1 second. I'm doing a lot more of these on YouTube because you guys are really, really good at engaging and asking the right questions. It's actually quite better than doing them on Facebook. So the more engagement I get, the more motivated I am to keep doing these. If you're trying to gain muscle, ketosis is phenomenal. Okay, you actually have the ability to burn fat and gain muscle at the same time when you're in ketosis. The reason that I had to go into some carbs is because when you're trying to go from about 5% body fat down to about 3% for a temporary shoot, a lot of it comes down to volumization. So meaning for every 1 gram of carbohydrate you consume, you're holding 3 to 4 grams of water, which means the muscle cells will volumize. And that's going to stretch out your skin, makes your skin look thinner. So when you're talking about prepping for a shoot or anything like that, yeah, then carbs come into play. Not something I want to live on. It sucks. It's not fun. I'm very, very happy with my conditioning right now. Question, hi Tom, I've been in heavy ketosis for 5 months. Weight loss is dramatic, energy is good, loose skin. Have you ever seen that problem? I have. I was 280 pounds before. You guys probably know that. That might be why you follow me. I was 280 pounds, working corporate healthcare job, hated my life, was fat, was miserable. I worked out, but I didn't know what I was doing. I shouldn't say that. I knew what I was doing in the gym, didn't know what I was doing with food. Fortunately, I worked in the healthcare industry and I knew a lot of doctors that had sort of taught me and paved the way for a few things. It's where I learned to not really like a lot of doctors, to be honest. And ended up learning there that I was just missing out on a few things with my diet. So I have a lot of loose skin. And guys, I'm gonna show you some stretch marks that I've got, okay? So if you guys are squeamish, I'm gonna show you my stomach for a second just to prove it to you so I can show you my stretch marks, okay? Just to show you that I'm not lying. So just bear with me 1 second, all right? So all those are all stretch marks there. Yes, I was 280 pounds, okay? I was big. And when it comes down to really being able to tighten up your skin, I have something that I use witch hazel. Witch hazel dries out the skin a little bit. It doesn't make it itchy and dry, so it helps you out a lot. So I put witch hazel on my skin about every other day, and it helps that. So anyway, now someone asked about building muscle on keto. I already answered that question. What's your opinion on keto and bodybuilding? Huge, very advantageous for that. So anyway, guys, I'm going to start wrapping this up. I can't see all the questions, and unfortunately it doesn't let me scroll. So if you have a burning question that you need answered on this video, I'm going to answer 2 more, okay? Otherwise, you're just going to have to tune in to the next one. I've been practicing intermittent fasting for the past couple of months. Yeah, see, it doesn't let me scroll. That's the downside. Okay, there we go. Now it does. Because I lift weights first thing in the morning, then I do not break my fast until 11 or 12 p.m. What are your thoughts? You're fine. You're totally fine that way. So basically what you'd want to do is you train, and then maybe have a little bit of glutamine right after your workout. And then when it's time to break your fast, just do what I said before, okay? You consume a little bit of protein, a small amount of carb, like a rice cake, and then you're good to go. Burning question, how important is it to track ketos with a meter? Is the $100 meter really needed? Honestly, no. Here's what I recommend. Here's a strategy, guys. I'm gonna say the strategy and then I have to jump off. here's what I recommend. Use the keto sticks at first, the ones you pee on. They're cheap, they're 10, 15 bucks, okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to use those at first and then practice coming out of ketosis and back into ketosis, and then start relating that relationship between going into ketosis, the day you weren't in ketosis next to the day you were, and your feelings, how you feel. You will notice that the days you start to transition to ketosis, you get exceptionally thirsty, you feel a little nauseous, you feel a little irritable, and you just kind of want to sleep. Michael, I'm sorry I missed your question, buddy. Okay, and what ends up happening is your body's transferring into this different energy system. But what I want you to do is start establishing that stimulus in your mind so that you don't always need those sticks. Once you've done keto for a long period of time, you know when you're in keto and you know when you're not. Right now, not being in keto, I'm shaky, I'm responsive to sugars, I'm addicted to sugars again. I mean, not that I'm biting into that, but man, I have a little bit of carbs, I have a rice cake, and next thing I know, I'm wanting a Snickers. It sucks. And you know when you get into ketosis, the cravings start to stop and these things go away. So you need to start being able to associate that so you're not having to go out and buy a $100 meter. Now, if I'm ever working with people one-on-one or anything like that, I would usually have them buy a meter because I want the reporting. I want to know when their ketones are going up, when their ketones are going down, and all that stuff. Jesse said you always want a Snickers. Yeah, I know. It makes it a little bit tough. But anyway, guys, I do have to wrap this up. I've got to go. If you guys can, give me one last big round of thumbs up. And please, please, please continue to ask questions, because what I do is I scroll through these questions and this gives me ideas for other videos, topics that I can do, post as regular production videos. I really love the engagement here. I love how much this is working out and these overall videos. So if I get a lot of likes on this, it really helps me out and encourages me to do more. And if you like these coaching videos, then let's do that so we can keep it rolling. All right, you guys, I have to jet. You guys are awesome. New video coming live tonight, by the way. As always, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays are when I post new videos, and then I do lives every now and then. So someone asked if I skip leg day. I don't skip leg day, but I will be completely honest with you. I run a lot. I also like to use my legs, so I don't go crazy heavy on my legs. I was 280 pounds. I've been down that road. You've seen my legs in competition pictures. I have zero desire to have massive tree trunk legs. I am not a bodybuilder. I'm someone that is trying to be in shape, trying to have an awesome family, and trying to feel good. All right, you guys, I will see you soon. Love you all. You guys are awesome. Thanks for watching.